Imagine you are a woman working at a telemarketing agency. Out of the blue, the manager calls you and a male coworker in, who, by the way, has the same exact job as you, into his office. The manager hands both you and your male coworker your paychecks. You notice that you got paid less than your male coworker. You ask the manager why, and the manager says it's because you are a woman and he is a man. This scenario sounds awful, but unfortunately, this is the world that we live in today, where women get paid less than men, even for doing the same job. I want to show you how awful the national wage gap is towards women between men and women, and I want you to recognize if this is happening to you in the future. I have spent numerous hours researching this topic, and I've came to the conclusion that women get paid less than men committing the same job, and this should and needs to change. According to the Center for American Progress, quote, analyzing the most recent Census Bureau data from 2018, women of all races earned, on average, just 82 cents for every $1 earned by men of all races. This means that for every dollar a man earns, a woman only gets paid 82 cents for the same job. According to University World News, quote, at the current rate of progress, the global gender gap will take 108 years to close, and economic gender parity will take 202 years to achieve. This is the conclusion of the World Economic Forum's WEF Global Gender Gap Report 2018, published in December. This means that at the rate the United States is going to fix the national wage gap, it will take 200 years for it to be a $1 to $1 ratio, which is just straight up awful. Women nationally have the higher education rates and higher education period, which means that they have to pay off more student loans. And the national wage gap doesn't really help them pay off those loans. According to the AAUW, quote, though women now outpace men in higher education, women also hold nearly 2/3 of the outstanding student debt in the United States. And because of the gender pay gap, women have a harder time repaying loans. This is just awful. Women have the higher education, they take the time to go to college, and they get student loans, and they're having trouble paying them off because of the national wage gap, which is just awful. The world we live in today, we're still exploiting women for that. A solution to this problem is obvious: to lower the wage gap or eliminate it whatsoever and completely. According to CNBC, quote, a 2017 study by the Institute for Women's Policy Research found that the poverty rate of working women would be cut in half if women earned as much as men. The research also said equal pay would add an additional income of $512.6 billion to the U.S. economy if men's wages stayed the same. This would just be a massive positive for America, as not only will women be getting the same amount of pay as men as a $1 to $1 ratio, it would increase the economy by $500 billion, which is really great considering we are trillions in dollar of debt. So this would be a massive positive for America. There really isn't a negative to this solution, as men's wages would stay the same and women's would increase to be men's, which is just frankly amazing if this happens. The wage gap needs to be lowered because women earn only 82 cents for every man's dollar. It will take a whopping 202 years for the wage gap to be decreased at the progress the United States is at right now, and women don't have the economic income to pay off their high student loans. The action that I want you, the audience, to take is to support the movement to decrease the wage gap and to support women's rights. Over history throughout the United States, women have been exploited and seen as the weak in society. And the world is still like that today, especially in the United States, where women get paid less for doing the same job, and honestly, they might even be working harder than men, but men still get paid more. So I want you, the audience, to support the movement, and if you'd like, use your American right to protest for women's rights and for women's equal pay to men. It is completely awful how the world is still like this today.